John, welcome to #Education Day.
Thank you for having me, Jeremy. It's a privilege.
Fantastic. John, the first thing I wanted to ask you is you've had an amazing career and you are the head of an incredible school. Could you tell us about yourself and your journey?
Well, I'm from a small town in northern Ontario in Canada, and if you were to ask me, the 17-year-old version of me, if I would be here talking to you, I would say you're crazy. I started, I went to university. Like most people, not really sure what I wanted to do. I mean, I was very interested in education and learning. I have a degree in music. I have a degree in science. And then I went to Teachers College to become a teacher in Canada. And then I decided, hey, what's this about overseas or international schools? So I got on a plane with a friend of mine in 1996 to Kuwait, and we stayed 6 years, and it changed my life. I got married, and my wife and I went to South Korea for 6 more years, had our children born there. Then we moved to Singapore, where I worked for the International Baccalaureate Organization for 4 years. And then Switzerland for 8 years, where we first met, first the TED conference, and then at Zurich International School, where I was the principal for 9 through 12. And then for the last 6 years now, I can't believe it, I've been the 6 through 12 principal here at Frankfurt International School. So that's my sort of little world journey, but it's been a remarkable exploration and meeting all kinds of super inspiring people, little kids, big kids, people like you, and I can't believe I get to do this. It really is a privilege.
Amazing, John. I mean, we've done some work together, and it's absolutely inspirational what you do at your school. I mean, I've seen it firsthand and spent some time with the pupils who are just really focused and really energized at kind of making an impact in the world, which leads me on nicely to saying, could you talk to us about how your school is trying, through education, to promote a more peaceful and sustainable world?
Yeah, I mentioned the International Baccalaureate, and it's one of the curriculums that you see in schools like this. We were privileged to be one of the founders of the IB program back in the late 60s. And I've got to say, this framework for thinking about what young people should learn, when you base it on impact and making a difference, I mean, it's a fantastic school in the sense that we maybe have 60 different nationalities. Kids speak 40, 50 different languages. We have 1,000 kids in just the high school, upper school alone. Almost 1,800, over 1,800 right through from pre-K through to 18-year-olds. And I think the diversity that's in that community is amazing. To me, it's not a barrier, it's actually a bridge, right? We can, by meeting kids and being part of, from different cultures and different ways of thinking, we can come together to make the world a better place when we talk about it, when we are proximate, when we have a chance to sit beside somebody who has a different frame of reference. It could be a different faith makeup. It could be, not just passports, but actually places people have lived and experiences that they've had. To bring people together in a school like this is truly remarkable, and I think that's something we sometimes take for granted. We shouldn't. We need to work every day with these students. But as you see, when you were here, you're part of this Changemaker conference, and we have young people that really do want to make a difference. And sometimes they lack maybe the tools or the framework or the help to get them going, but they know they want to do it. They're passionate about something. They feel like they have a purpose, and they want to make the world a better place, as you said. And I think when you allow kids to do that and you give them those frameworks and the tools, you can step away and watch the magic happen, right? So, I mean, I think this school is like a catalyst, and it allows young people who really want to make a difference to find the connectors, the people in the community that can help them make a difference, to meet people like yourself, inspirational people who are doing amazing things. And it almost reinforces them that, you know what? I'm only 12 years old, but I can make a difference, right? It doesn't take, I don't have to wait for change to happen. Leadership, in my opinion, it doesn't have a minimum age requirement, Like a young person can really make a difference if they want to. So I think being around those kind of people at a school like FIS with the community that we have, the teachers that these kids get to meet, and just the environment we're in, it's magic.
I once remember a phrase at the beginning of the 25-year journey that I've had, John, which you know very well, that somebody said that intercultural cooperation was the key to humanity's survival. Your school is such an incredible example of young people coming together, interculturally cooperating, understanding more about each other. And out of that comes kind of this unity and this strength that actually we can get along. And when we work together, we can make a difference.
Agreed. Yeah, there's a great book. I don't know if you've had a chance to read it by the late Jonathan Sacks, who's a rabbi in the UK. His book was called The Dignity of Difference. And I've come to really believe that it isn't about tolerating another culture, right? We shouldn't just put up with somebody because they happen to be different. I actually think we need to give them the dignity to be different. And that was the title of one of his books. And that attitude about getting to know people and as I said, get proximate, learn from them, eat with them. We have these, international meals and opportunities to come together and participate in trips. And, when we're all sort of aligned towards a common goal, that's why I think the bridges is better than barriers. And I think if we can create more bridges amongst cultures and understand each other, the less we talk about them as being other. Brian Stevenson, I think one of the greatest TED Talks I've seen in a long time, he talked about that, how I think too often we look apart and we look elsewhere. We don't get proximate with the people that we need to be around. And I think international schools allow that, right? They put you in proximity with people who you otherwise might not get to know. And you may have seen them on TikTok or seen them on a Instagram or something else and not really feel like they're close to you. But in fact, they are. You just have to get to know them and take the time to do that. And a school like FIS with this kind of diversity, you can do that every day.
Amazing. Incredible. John, tell me, why is the International Day of Education? Why is a day all about education important? And why have you wanted to take time out to support it?
When I first met you and you were talking at TED in Edinburgh, I think we were, and you were mentioning about peace one day and how, what if we just had one day of peace? Can we all agree on that? And you talked about your journey, meeting Kofi Annan, and being at the UN, ready to announce it, September 11th, 2001. And of course, nobody remembers that day because of what everybody else remembers that day for, September 11th or 9/11. And I think it's that the belief that if you put one day on the calendar, you raise awareness to it. And it isn't one day and we forget about it. It's year on year on year on year. That was, in your case, 20, imagine, right? 25 years ago, that was your idea. And here we are now. So I think with international education, it's an incredible opportunity for students to learn about what it means to be an international member of our community. We talk a lot about our national identities and not enough about our international identities. And I think in the world that we live in, with the kind of systems we have in place, it's only more important, in my opinion, that we do talk about our identities and collectively and thinking about this international community that we all live in. We live on planet Earth, and yes, there are some artificial divisions that make us a little bit separate in some ways, but I think when I look at the world that we live in today and the young people that are going to inherit it and lead it and are already leading it in many ways, I think it's just important that we talk about that diversity much bigger than just our national identity.
Amazing, John. Amazing. I love being with you and listening to you. I want to ask you, look, education is clearly going to play a fundamental role in relation to humanity's survival. And you've talked a little bit about that today. Can I ask you, John, since we've known each other, a lot has changed if we look at where the world is today at this point. Can you believe it? In relation to the violence that's increasing, but also how we're treating our planet and the results of that, which are very real, very, very real. Can I ask you, is there anything that needs to fundamentally change in relation to equipping young people with the necessary tools to take on the great challenges that we face?
You look at some of the big institutions, right? We have a Model United Nations program at our school, and I think many, many, many schools do that. You don't have to be an international school to bring about some of these changes. And I think that when we look at our large institutions, and the United Nations being one, I think a lot of people are, especially young people, they get a bit disenfranchised, and they feel like, they're not listening to me, and hypocrites, or they say one thing and then something else happens, or the people in power, they're only just trying to stay in power. And so they're looking at it from that. So, I think what fundamentally needs to change is yeah, some of the people at the top of these organizations really need to listen to what the young people are saying, because the young people see the world in a very different way, and maybe they're less hierarchical, less bureaucratic in how they think, and maybe they're a bit too optimistic with some of the changes they can make in the short term. But I think there should be many more opportunities for our young people to engage directly with the people holding those levers that are making the differences. I mean, I have a group of students that I meet with regularly here, and the opportunities for them to give me advice of things, it could be on any number of topics. I learn more from those conversations, or at least as much as I do when I meet with other adults, right? So young people really do want to bring about change. They have fantastic ideas. I think they lack platforms, and maybe they need a collective framework. For our school, I think the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, have been that framework. The Changemaker Conference has been that architecture of a framework for students to really get a chance to see, oh, I can impact this. And as you know, when you were here for that conference, when we put young people beside industry leaders or innovators or angel investors, it doesn't matter who they are, I really see some interesting synergies there. So I think it's about getting people together, young and old, lots of great ideas, entrepreneurs, innovation, that kind of spirit around something collective. And the Sustainable Development Goals seem to make a lot of sense to me, whereas bureaucratic structures that haven't changed in a long time that need to, like the UN, those are some of the barriers. But I think, as I said, if we can make more bridges, we'll be in a better place.
So more dialogue between those in control and the young people who, really want to see change. Listening to them more would be a good start.
Yeah, I think so. And the accessibility piece, right? We don't all need to get on a plane and fly to Davos to have these conversations, right? That's nice, but I don't think that's how the young people would see how you make direct change. Like, we can get on a Zoom like we are right now and have these conversations. We can do a lot to mitigate some of the challenges that we're facing if we tackle them then head on. But I think it's the skepticism that young people have around big business. They see maybe even institutions and governments and democracy in peril right now and around the world, and so they are really curious to know, how can I make change, and part of that is going to be that this active listening and dialogue between industry leaders, governments, and young people.
Incredible! What a wonderful thought to end on. But before we do go, if anybody'd like to find out more about your school and the system that you're a part of, where would they go?
Well, they can come see us in person in Frankfurt, but the International Baccalaureate is the organization that thousands of schools around the world are using as their curricular framework, and that's www.ibo.org. And of course, for Frankfurt International School, please have a look at our website and see what we're doing. FIS.edu is our website. And yeah, be really open to talking with young people and industry leaders or anybody that wants to talk to us. Meet some of our students and see what great things they're up to.
John, it's been wonderful knowing you and speaking with the young people at FIS. Thank you so much for participating in #Education Day, and we wish you the very best with your incredibly important work.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy.